Is that enough?
Nah, let's put a little bit more on there.
What? What's up, guys? Welcome to here, and here we are to talk about whether or not Sukuna has been nerfed enough. Because honestly, after 251, in spite of the insane things that happened in the chapter, there's still a whole bunch of discussions going on, especially with the end of the chapter, whether or not Sukuna is still too strong, still too much, still too dangerous, still too beefy, and whether or not we still need to beat him down some more, so it feels like his defeat is earned because of how powerful he's been set up to be. So we have a decent little chunk to talk about. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Ending me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Ryomen Sukuna has been going through it. Like, notably, maybe this is because, like, my interest in general intrigue with the character of Sukuna has also slowly been going through it and developing and growing stronger. But, like, reflecting on what the man's been through in an extremely fast period of time, it is quite insane what this man has endured. Like, just straight endurance-wise. This man he's a little bit nutty. Like, sure, certain things do happen at the end of 251. Don't get me wrong. Yudokotsu. But, putting that aside, Ryomen Sukuna has been going through it. Let's just compile every single nerf the man's already received. Both easily apparent and physical, and ones that are less apparent but still have massive impacts, and ones that may or may not count as nerfs depending on how much certain things have changed at the end of 251, and whether or not those nerfs need to be reapplied, or if they're ever applied at all. Let's talk about it. The biggest, heftiest nerf that allows for the efficacy and ability of one character to even function is this bad boy. This one right here. The loss of his domain expansion is a nerf that's been a part of the narrative for, it's gonna sound shocking when I say this, 21 chapters now. Sukuna has been domainless for a hot minute. Naturally, of course, this is required. Like, straight up required. Especially depending on how you think certain matchups would go. Like, hypothetically, if Sukuna really wanted to, and he still had domain, Higuruma wouldn't have been able to do his thing. Obviously, Kashima would have fallen even faster. And it's most likely that characters like Yudokotsu, who still rely on a very clearly closed barrier domain, would not be able to do whatever they want to do with Sukuna. Him losing his domain is arguably the biggest and most pivotal nerf, and it's been around for the longest. 21 chapters is a long time in weekly manga world, and he's been without it, and it looks like that domain seems to be permanently gone. And what do I mean by that? It seems like due to the consistent damage and knockback and weakening of Ryomen Sukuna and the control that's required, the hypothetical callback of his domain, the return of it, seems to be gone. His slashes are weakening. Yuta believes he doesn't need to fear to get close. Heck, it's even noted by numerous characters. His cursed energy output and physical control have plummeted. So, like, his brain is still likely knocked a few places loose. His RCT overall output is just gone. It's dropping immensely, and the domain is kind of the pinnacle of that. And notably, look what he goes for here at the end of the chapter. He does not go for a hypothetical domain expansion when he has the chance and re-ups himself with his chance. No, he goes for a spatial slash, both which would be equally effective, but still at the same time, I don't think the man can use domain. That's just gone. The brain damage has never been applied to heal, and he doesn't pull it out in scenarios where he would be able to pull it out. So the loss of the domain is a big nerf that's been around, seems like it's going to stick around, and is basically a necessity to function. Even if a certain character named Takari Kenji could walk through the domain for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, the moment, unless there is a question about that. Could Hikari activate his domain, get an instantaneous jackpot the second it forms because of the speed of it, and then by the time the domain is torn apart by Malevolent Shrine, he's already in jackpot again? It's possible, because he was in domain for like 2 seconds with Kashima when he got his final jackpot against him. So maybe it's possible, but outside of him, especially with Yuta Kotsu presumably falling, No one's surviving it. Like, even Yuji Todori, who in this chapter gets hit by a regular dismantle, is still falling just like that, for real. This is Yuji. You know, they have all those commercials? This is your brain on X substance. This is Yuji on Cleave and Dismantle. Just a regular, remember, super low output cleave from Mr. I'm literally you. Like, Sukuna looks in the mirror and Yuji's there staring right back at him. Being literally Sukuna did nothing to stop this super nerfed, cursed energy resisting cleave from just tearing Yuji's guts up and like dropping him for a bit, forcing him to heal drastically as juice pours from his mouth. Now imagine that, but a domain expansion. The only thing that would be left is those gauntlets on Yuji. The only things that seem actually immune. Even Yudokotsu, like I mentioned, would be able to open domain. And as I mentioned, yeah, Maki Zenin, as powerful and amazing and as wonderful and as horrifyingly effective as she is, yeah, with domain, she's not doing anything. Note, the specification of Malevolent Shrine is that even inanimate objects will get targeted until they are reduced to atoms. And unfortunately, while Maki may be a rock that talks, she still is a rock, aka an inanimate object that will most certainly still be under the effect of Malevolent Shrine, which ultimately would leave her to be cooked if he were actually to get it back. So not only is this nerf massive, but it's also necessary for like any character to function. As of right now, if he gets domain back, it's GG's, and I don't think he's getting domain back. Despite what 249 tried to hint at with Yuta, I think Yuji's done enough damage to his overall control and output and RCT output that, yeah, domain's not coming back. Second major nerf. This, ironically enough, you know, the whole incarnation thing. Remember, the reason he stayed as Mega Knight was not just for the facial advantage, not just for the hypothetical curse technique advantage, but also because this is it. Of course, this translation in of itself is a bit questionable, as a curse taking fleshly form, which he had purposely interrupted before. That's questionable, because like, he's not a curse. But then again, in officials, he's also recently, like, it's weird. I don't think Sukuna's a curse. He's a sorcerer that split his soul, and he's an evolved creature. But like, I guess in a roundabout way, he could be alright. But regardless, translation aside, the main reason he took this form is because he could no longer RCT in base. And by base, I mean Maguna. And that means he has no second health bars after this. He's in his final form, and that in of itself is a nerf. Essentially, think of it as a stock in Super Smash Bros. He had 2 stocks. He now only has 1. And we're in sudden death. The boy has no other hope after this. If he loses in this form, that's it. That's done. And that's a massive nerf in of itself. And notably, he's the only character, presumably in the entire series, who had a buff like that. Or not a buff, but like a statistic like that. The ability to further his incarnation to the point of a complete body refresh, which he no longer has. But luckily enough, this also may or may not have come with a secondary nerf. And once again, it's debatable, but considering he hasn't done it, despite the usefulness of what could be left over by the 10 Shadows, it seems like he's done with the 10 Shadows. Whether it be through him not having enough cursed energy to use them anymore, well, that's just wrong. He has, like, the amount of cursed energy is Yudokotsu, as he says himself. But still, you see him go against Kashimo and not summon anything, and even after he reincarnates, he doesn't summon anything ever again. So he may have lost the 10 Shadows, too. Which is good. We need him to lose as much as humanly possible. So, he lost the 10 Shadows. Admittedly, something that would definitely give our casting crew a bunch of trouble. Remember, the whole reason it was only Big Raga, the Obstapa, who came out against Gojo, was because he was the only shadow that was actually going to be useful. And even Ahito, a merger of a bunch of other shadows, was not that useful against Gojo. Every other shot, like literally just summoning a bunch of mutated rabbit escapes would get massively in the way of our casting crew. So him losing the 10 Shadows by forcefully incarnating, good stuff. Beautiful, wonderful, another hefty nerf. A hefty, defty nerf. And also leaves the door open for another person to hypothetically use the 10 Shadows if they return, if a need be. But there's another nerf. Because once again, Sukuna, he's been going through it. Y'all remember a certain thingamajig? A certain tool, something that he could use freely, that he was spinning on his hand, like a basketball. Yeah, he lost Kamutoke too. He lost the Higuruma. And now notably, I myself have thrown out my own critiques for Kamutoke as a narrative device. Like, I do think it is very specifically introduced to wrap up a plot point, and then immediately get disregarded because it would then, by continuing to exist, break the plot too. Because, like, think about it. If he still had Kamutoke, everyone would be fried alive. Need I remind you, Kashimo Hajime, the lightning man, got hit with Kamutoke's lightning, and he still took damage. It's like having Volt Absorb, or being a ground type, and still taking damage. Yes! It's like the Onyx that got soaked in water in Brox's gym. Brox's? Why did I use Brock and Roxas? Two goated characters, by the way. But with that being the case, the loss of Kamutoke is also massive. He could literally one-tap fry anybody. Notably, Oyuji Todori does seem to have a variation of resistance to Sukuna's own techniques. That's why a lot of people think he not only was able to survive this as well as he did, but he's also able to regenerate on the same tier as someone like Yuta Kotsu after experiencing slashes from him and Sukuna back in 250. That is a massive thing that a lot of people just chalk up. Yuji Todori has some sort of resistance. He doesn't actually have comparable RCT or anything, or durability to Yuta Kotsu, all that. Yeah, Kamutoke does not care about that. It's not actually Sukuna's own cursed energy. It's a cursed tool. Meaning that any hypothetical immunity Yuji would have would be absolutely torn through by a massive bolt of lightning. So the loss of Kamutoke, what was technically a buff upon regular Sukuna, him losing it is still a massive nerf, which is really, really good. Another fantastic nerf for Ryomen Sukuna. And then, of course, we have the nerfs that just come from, like, the battle with Satoru Gojo. Notably, he's just tired. He's very, very fatigued. Like, bro's been going through it. Does this look like the face of a man who's having a good day? He is. He's smiling all the time. But, with that aside, he's down. Like a bunch of cursed energy. Notably, I believe it is in 250. I think it's in 250 when he says, and he just straight up says it himself. While he agrees that Ryu Ishigori has some of the best stats in the verse, because he's literally him, he also says, my curse energy output isn't just low because of fighting Satoru Gojo. So number one, his defenses. His output, they gone. They lowered just from fighting Gojo. The fatigue has actually genuinely caught up with him, which is very, very good. It goes to show that he himself believes his output is lowered, and even Yuji and Yuta both admit, hey, if you didn't fight Gojo, we'd be cooked instantaneously. We would not have this chance. Which is the one thing. And the other thing, let me see, where is that statement about his cursed energy amount? Which was very, very pivotal? Lord, where's my English? But pivotal in determining where Sukuna was in terms of overall amounts and how much he actually lost from the battle with Gojo. But with that being the case, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Show me. Essentially, he says he has the same cursed energy amount as Yuta. And remember, Yuta said that Sukuna had more than twice the cursed energy he did, which is insane. Wild, buku bonkers, if you will. But losing possibly either half or more than half of his cursed energy is also a very massive nerf. Bro's nowhere near full health. He is running super duper low on juice. And the less and less juice he has means less and less for everything. Whether it be his own durability reinforcement, whether it be his attacks, whether it be his cursed techniques, whether it be how hard he punches, how hard he kicks, anything like that. Losing so much cursed energy and trying to RCT through all the damage he's taking is going to keep running down that meter, and that's a nerf that's only applicable right now, considering he hasn't had the chance to regenerate cursed energy. And notably, it seems like cursed energy regeneration rate, even for this Sukuna, due to the consistent damage, as he notes, they're targeting the boundary between my soul and Fushiguro Megabe's soul, in an effort to awaken Fushiguro's soul, which I submerged in the bath. It'll disrupt the attunement of our physical forms. Every time I take an attack from the boy, my cursed energy output drops and my physical control decreases. Despite the risks, they tend to chip away at me until I can't maintain Hollow Wicker Basket, and then, using the angel's curse Jacob's ladder, to remove the cursed object from inside Megumi Fushiguro. So, big nerfs. Big, hefty nerfs. The fact that bro's running so low on juice that he's gonna eventually chip away. He's gonna be broken down to where he can't use techniques anymore. That's a pretty hefty nerf. And of course, the final main nerf is just Yuji Todori himself. Every single hit he's done, one by one, bit by bit, piece by piece, knocks away Sukuna's control, which is good. And it knocks away his output, which is good, because it means characters can survive. Of course, it doesn't seem like Yuta Kotsu may survive, but it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. It happens to the best of us. But with all that being the case, is there anything else? What are their nerfs? Can we give him? Oh yeah, the physical one. The man lost both of his lower arms. Like, note he had the one arm turned off. Not turned off. It's like a switch. You can just flip the arm on and off. Well, I don't know where my English is going. But he lost one arm. And then remember, Yudakotsu tore off the other one. And also remember, his output is garbage right now. His RCT output, his general output, it's trash. Booty butt meat. Meaning, for him to regenerate 2 entire arms, while he did it in like 2 seconds at the start of the Gojo vs. Sukuna fight, it's taken him some time. Remember when he lost one hand that he removed of his own volition before Yuji started and knocking that output? It was looking devious already to regenerate one hand. Now he's down to 2. And of course, it seems like he probably chanted with his upper mouth here. Because remember, another massive physical nerf that will drastically hinder Sukuna is the fact that Yudakotsu literally ripped his tongue out, which he's also now going after RCT. Of course, no matter how big and juicy that tongue may be, it will most likely be easier to RCT that tongue than it will be to RCT to ours, but still, the loss of the second mouth. Now, Sukuna is reduced to not a regular dude, obviously. No regular dude can just cleave apart space itself. But still, I don't know. He now just has one mouth and 2 arms until the belly mouth fully heals and the hands fully heal with the effects of Yuji Todori wearing him down. I don't think that's reasonably possible. So now the question is, where do we go? He has like 16 different debuffs on him. From physical, to mental, to output-wise, to durability-wise, to fuel-wise, like everything. Physically, the man's in trouble. What else do you really take away from him at this point? And how do you take it away from him? Because, of course, the battle's not going to end here. As much... I know my fellow Maki meat munchers are going to be extremely disappointed in me when I say it, but like, being real with you, being completely honest, I don't see Maki beating Sukuna. Not like this. And sure, it looks like that arm is starting to refuse together, and this arm is slowly starting to regenerate, but still, I'm not exactly sure whether or not it's enough. But at the same time, I run into the conundrum of what else do you take away before it starts getting ludicrous. Like the man's tongueless, handsless, domainless, output/RCT. Output of RCT dropped to oblivion. Like, what else do you take? Do you just take out his eyes? Like, in terms of every single level, I'm not sure what else we take away without breaking everything down. Because remember, this, for all intents and purposes, thanks to 251, is confirmed to be our final battle. There is no Sukuna after this. We do not have a post this battle Sukuna. At least it's loosely implied. Of course, there's some hopers and copers, one of the Nobara fans, that are like, well, Sukuna says he ate it. So maybe, going off that assumption, maybe Yuta did it. Yuta ate the finger. So that means that this is the final Sukuna. Meaning everything that we need to get from Sukuna needs to come from this Sukuna. And I don't really see that happening if we nerf him even more. Because once again, what is left to take away? What, are we going to rip out his mouth tongue so he can't chant anymore? Are we going to rip off his second face and eye so he has... Would he have depth perception? How does that... Like, our depth perception comes from the fact that we have 2 eyes. But does that have to do with our spacing of the eyes? Like, on our face? Like, how effective would it be if my other eye was right here? I actually don't know. I'm not sure if he would even have depth perception. But, like, do we rip off his face? And even then, you could argue that actually ended up kind of... Well, actually, no. We do see him have eyes later in the chapter. So, like, we do see it burst inside his eyes. It does do some damage. It turns him red. But he still does have eyes. So, like, what do? We rip out his eyes? We rip out his mouth tongue. We remove his other 2. Like, do we just have leg kuna? Just start throwing hands at everybody? Or I guess throwing feet? I don't know. And it's why I'm kind of in the camp that this has to be it. Especially if Yuta's gone, right? Like, here's the thing. It would leave us with Yuji, Maki, and Hikari. And, like, I see them winning. I think it's possible at this point. Of course, Yuji's currently in dire straits, being Nyan in half, but he's not fully in half, unlike Yuta Okotsu. And Maki, for all intents and purposes, since she didn't deal with Big Jaku, she should be fresh. And Hikari Kenji should win his fight against Arume. I don't really see Arume walking away from that fight with a dub, meaning a infinite, consistently looping against a DE-less Sukuna Hikari who's being defended by Maki inside the domain. I can see it being viable. So in my honest opinion, no. I don't think we need to nerf Sukuna anymore. I think we've done enough. Because remember, we still haven't seen anything. And I want to see more from Sukuna. I want to see Fuga. I want to get an explanation of his curse technique. I want a curse technique actual name drop. It's called Shrine by Yorozu once or twice. Yorozu knows Sukuna about as well as I know my left big toe. Meaning mostly, but probably not that much. Meaning that there's still a possibility. We don't know the true name of Sukuna's technique. We haven't seen Fuga. We haven't seen everything the man has to offer. And if we keep nerfing him, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, whether it be on an output level, whether it be on a CT level, I think we're gonna lose more than we gain. I think the narrative has gone out of its way to slap this man with more than enough hard nerfs, whether it be removals or attack types or anything, to make it so that his defeat is more than palpable and reasonable, without the need to nerf him anymore, before we get actually ludicrous in terms of what we're expected to believe this man can A, tank, and B, do while extremely nerfed. But those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Sukuna needs more nerfs? And if so, how would you nerf him? Would you rip out his eyes? Would you lower his output even more? Would you get Yuji punching a bit more? Would you have Megami wake up and try to fight back? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave nugget, because it's a weird reference. It's a weird reference. I want to see who gets the reference. Leave nugget in the comment section down below. And to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you know miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon below where you support me for as low as $1 monthly. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you pay a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Wakanda Plays, Red Wolf, 4765, Greyhound, and Akids Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Igneal, and Demix LNT. I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 members, Autumn Mornings Lazo, Sick Addiction, and Jan Tomas. I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha and Joaquin. I'd like to give another thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 patron, Winter. I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Steron. I'd like to give another humongous thank you to our $25 patron, EHAC1. I'd like to give another scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. I'd like to give a final and gargantuan thank you to our final $25 member, Calvin Elder.